Welcome back, everybody, to the dosd&d show, dosd&d Uncut. And today we're back in the beautiful tropical Gold Coast. Dos, just explain our backdrop at the moment.
Oh, we're on a beautiful outdoor deck, or let's call it rooftop, actually.
We actually are a rooftop.
We're on a rooftop.
Yeah. Surrounded by plants.
Surrounded by lovely plants. Lots of beautiful oxygen coming from those.
Isn't that lovely?
Breathing nice and clearly. No, it's been good, mate. D's come up. We've had another week of content, which has been fantastic. Of those of you who know, I've moved up to Queensland a few months ago. And yeah, we're going back and forth when we are doing interviews. So we've had a few interviews, with a couple of one-on-ones, a few YouTube videos coming your way as well.
That's it.
But yeah, mate, today we're going to go deep, I reckon.
We are. We've got some great topics I'm very excited to get stuck into. And of course, if you do want to see this beautiful visual presentation, you can head over to YouTube and watch the full thing there. So make sure while you're there, you do click that subscribe button because that is absolutely crucial. Or if you're watching YouTube right now, hello.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, just quickly, I had something very peculiar happen to me on my trip up to Queensland.
Okay, yeah.
So last time we came up, it was very early in the morning, and this time I decided, we'll go a bit later at night. And
was it a bit cheaper?
I wouldn't say cheaper. I left it a bit late, unfortunately. So the business account takes a bit of a hit there.
The availability.
Yeah, but anyway, we've got a late flight up because I thought, you know what, I'll come up the night before so we can start fresh in the morning. It's not a 3 a.m. start. We can just get stuck in, fresh, ready to go. Anyway, I'm at the airport. I ended up getting there. I had the worst flight ever. You know those ones where it just gets delayed. There's just issues. There was so much turbulence. We went to land and the plane turned around and we're in the air for an extra 20 minutes. And then the landing.
There was kids screaming, wasn't there?
There was not kids, adults screaming. Yeah, it was a big, heavy landing, which wasn't nice. Not that I'm one of those people that claps, you know.
Yeah, come on.
I can't stand that.
Those people, come on.
Yeah, if you're clapping your pilot for landing. But that's not the peculiar part. I was there quite early. We had a little issue pop up on the way up here. We had a problem with a guest that pulled out last minute, which always means you have to scramble. But I thought, you know, it was such a busy time at the airport. There's people everywhere. I thought I'm going to go into the quiet room, the smallest room in the house at the airport, and the toilet.
The toilet room.
And just sit there in the toilet room. Sit there and just get some messages and get some work done. So
were you doing your poo?
I was initially, and then that dissipated. And
you know when you're sitting on the toilet that long and your legs go numb? Was it one of those?
Not quite, but probably getting up there.
Yeah.
But anyway, the poo was finished. I was just still sitting on the toilet. I was very, engaged in what I was doing.
Yes.
Then I heard a noise that I as a male, I've heard, a little bit over the journey. It was some panting, and it was like a guy that. He was trying so hard not to breathe very loud, but you could hear he was getting quite aroused.
Where?
On the cubicle next to me. And I'm hearing this like... I'm like, bit strange. But I'm like, it sounds... it doesn't sound like he's taking a shit. And I looked to the right-hand side of me and I saw a shadow. And the shadow that I saw was...
Wasn't hand puppets?
It wasn't hand puppets. The man was masturbating at the airport... in a toilet cubicle.
Yeah.
He was masturbating. Because then
Wow.
I heard the breathing get heavier until he climaxed.
You heard him climax?
Yep. I heard a nice big grunt.
Was it, how did it go? Give us a...
I don't know why I did that.
Yeah.
I don't know why I simulated an orgasm.
And then did you see what he looked like?
No, because I was literally too busy messaging people.
So did he leave the cubicle before you left?
He left the cubicle before
I
me.
hope you washed his bloody hands. Did you at least hear that?
I don't know. It was a big cubicle. But I can't believe that some people get off in a public space like that.
Well, apparently people do this at work.
Yes.
Friends
of ours.
We had a discussion with friends of ours recently.
They've admitted to it.
They've admitted to it twice a day at the cubicle, not at the cubicle at work, but in the toilets.
Well, our friend Jai once said, no, he wasn't doing it. He said he was in the MCG one day, and he swore that it was happening in a cubicle next door too. Which is bizarre.
You know what? It's the...
That's a level.
Are they watching porn, you reckon?
I have no idea. But how could you get that horny in an airport or in a workplace?
How can you get that horny at work in your office job?
You have to go and let it go.
You have to go and... I mean, it just reminds me of Matthew McConaughey. in Wolf of Wall Street.
Yes, our favourite scene.
Yeah, our favourite scene. Do you jerk her off?
Yeah,
Those are rookie numbers, man. You got to pump those numbers up. What does he say? I've one in the morning, then one just after lunch.
But I mean, there's one thing jerking off at work. But I mean, if you work remotely, you can probably get away with it.
Yeah, I mean,
Wade Custerson has just given us a very sheepish look.
I'll put my hand up and say, yeah, maybe I did during those COVID years when I was working from home. I might have,
declined a couple of phone calls.
Yeah, I might have not accepted the calendar invites.
Anyway, mates, what are we talking about today? We've got a few topics.
Well, we've got a bit of a list, mate. One of the things I'm really, really excited to dive into, which is housemates, right? There's a bit going on in your life right now, and you're looking for a new housemate. And we're going to be sharing some of the worst housemate stories we've ever heard.
Oh, yes, that's shocking.
So any of you that are listening who've shared a house with someone, you get it, you understand it. These are going to be some of the worst housemate stories you could possibly think of. Some are funny, disgusting, you just can't imagine that they are coming up.
They're coming your way.
What else?
We've got, based on some other things that have happened in the world at the moment, we've taken some topics of the world and going to digest them and dissect them and then go a little bit deeper. So
what's that segment going to be called?
Well, the world's gone mad.
The world has gone mad.
We've got a good example of something that's happened locally in recent times. It just begs... You just can't even believe what you're reading.
You can't comprehend why this is even being considered.
No, so we've dug a little bit deeper. We found some of the most ridiculous things that might be happening in your workplace, your school, just all these kind of everyday activities.
A bit of cancel culture.
So we're going to take them down. And then what's the third one we've got, Dossie?
We've got moments that you fucked up.
Oh, dear.
Essentially. So
that moment when you know.
You fucked up. That's one of the segments today. We've done some research and found moments where people have absolutely gone wrong. Whether that's at work, in their relationship. A moment in their life where they wish they had that moment again because that changed the trajectory of what their life looked like in that very moment.
Oh, I can't wait. Well, you ready to get stuck in?
Let's do it, mate. D, the world's gone mad.
It has. Bonkers.
And I say that because something came into the news in the last couple of weeks and it's made me really, really angry. And this isn't, an angry boys segment.
No.
This is the world's gone mad segment.
We don't love, here at the dosd&d show, we don't love political correctness.
And we don't love change that doesn't need to be changed.
Yes.
There's no need for this change.
No.
For a small minority.
Yeah, that's right. We do like to push the limits on TikTok and we do put our hands up and
I'll admit, we say some things that, we do try and get them to get the responders to get into the DMs.
That's it.
Basically, the Essendon Football Club, a team in the AFL. We love the footy. We love it.
Yeah, not our favourite club, though.
No, Essendon. So, essentially, what has happened... An article, I've just found it. The AFL world explodes over proposed Essendon Bombers logo change.
Okay.
So, what do you think that means?
Well, firstly, we do have a lot of international listeners that probably don't follow the AFL. So, and even local listeners that might not follow the AFL. So, the Essendon Bombers, let's just quickly explain who they are, what they do.
So
what's the logo consist of?
The logo is... It's a bomber. It's a plane.
It's a plane.
And they
a World War II
style plane, and that name they've been known as the Bombers since the 1940s.
Yeah, around World War II time.
So a long time,
and they're based in Submarine.
They're based in Submarine. They're based at the Essendon Airport.
Major airport.
And think about this: for all those years, the logo has been splashed on merchandise.
Of course,
it's everywhere.
It is.
It's made the club a lot of money.
It has. Good song,
but the team's song is based around them being the Bombers.
Yeah.
All right?
Do you want to give us a couple of verses of
that? Perhaps not. So I'm just going to read a bit of this article.
Yes,
because I'm upset, I'm frustrated. And
please.
I would hate to think if my club ever changed their name or their logo based on, the Western Bulldogs, it's too vicious.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be the Bulldogs, they should be the Dogs. Or the Pups.
Yeah, because once some kid got attacked by a bulldog.
So fans of Essendon have reacted savagely after news broke overnight that the AFL club is considering changing its Bombers logo. The club has conducted a research project and is considering feedback from multiple stakeholders, including members. The club is keen to know if the wartime aircraft is considered inappropriate in the 21st century. Do you think that?
Ridiculous. Absolutely fucking ridiculous.
Think about that. And it'd be a small minority, right, of people.
Who are they? World War II victims?
No, it doesn't say that.
Families victims?
I'm going to say, so Matthew Lloyd, right?
Yeah.
The great Matthew Lloyd, one of the greats of the Essendon Bombers Football Club. He goes, I'd be very disappointed if the Bombers was gone. Have we got to the point that such a great logo, a tradition of the Essendon Football Club, might go because it might upset the odd person or two that we could potentially lose something so special with our football club. Now, mind you, the Essendon Football Club have won the most premierships in the AFL.
They have.
As the Bombers.
Yes. It's mate, it is just ridiculous.
So
it's just ridiculous. When I first saw the article, I was actually upset because their current logo is actually one of the oldest
that stayed put.
That stayed put.
Hasn't changed.
So when they said they were changing, I thought, please don't redesign it because I actually quite like it. And then I read further, I'm like, now we're getting rid of the name as well. So, mate, ridiculous. Absolutely freaking ridiculous. I'm sick of this. I'm so sick of this bullshit of pleasing the minorities.
So on that, we've come up with our own list of things we can't believe. The world has gone mad.
The world has gone.
We've found some absolutely ridiculous. What would you call them?
Just cancel culture, political correctness, just things that have been changed to please a certain group. And one thing we did say when researching this, and I'm sure we're going to bring this up because we will try to bring a little bit of humour to this dark topic. But one thing we were talking about is, isn't it funny that the people that we supposedly try and save in this cancel culture world, that the minorities we're protecting, they're not the ones complaining.
No, they're not.
It's the Karens and it's these lefties that are the ones that are going in to fight for them. But the first one, mate, I've got on my list. We might take turns. We'll stick on the football one for a second. Okay. So the Sydney Swans.
Yep.
Big club, good club, traditional club with the South Melbourne, of course. They changed the lyrics to their song in the last couple of years because they thought it might upset. The lyric was, whilst her loyal sons are marching, was the lyric, and now we've changed it to whilst our loyal swans.
So it's gone from sons to swans.
So we've changed sons to swans, and we've also changed her to our. So obviously the two genders in there, the his and her, we've cut that.
What about those that don't they don't have a gender
identify? So now they can identify as swans if they want to because and I'm sure if you do identify as a swan, then you'll be very, very happy. Have you got one?
So my one, I've got some audio, right? that I'm going to throw out there, and to those listening, this has got to be one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. Okay, it's absolutely absurd. Okay, so just have a listen. I found this on TikTok. It's got up to 7 million views, and this to me is a definition of the world got mad. So just listen in.
I mentioned in my last video that I went clothes shopping for my children, and a lot of people are shocked to hear that I have children, considering I sued my parents for having me without my permission.
Pseudo parents.
But I just want to make a couple of things clear here. So my parents that I sued, they contributed to, conceiving me, and my mother that raised me, she gave birth to me.
Good on her.
That's why I sued them, because I was going to have to grow up and get a job to support myself, and I just didn't consent to that. They didn't try to contact me in any way before I was born to see if I actually wanted to be here. And that's why.
Firstly, before I start, how do you contact a child before they're born?
They're not even a child yet.
To ask them,
do you want to
do you want to actually come into this big wide world? Sorry, I'll keep playing.
I sued them. Now, it's different. Like, I know I've said it's unethical to have children before, but it's different when you adopt, because it's not my fault that they're here. I'm just trying to be a good person and help them out. You know what I mean? So yeah, if you are pregnant right now,
Listen.
you need to hire a psychic medium and ask your child if they actually want to be here.
Okay, that's all I thought. So basically,
if I ever have kids, I can assure you all right now that I'm not going to a psychic medium prior to their birth and ask it. What is it? Kick once if kick once if you want to come.
Yeah, what are the rules?
And what we then. So say a baby kicks at the wrong moment or somehow communicates with you. We abort them there and then because they don't want to come into the world. Why? What? Some people spend their whole lives trying to have a child and can't.
You know how we justify now today? Right. So a young person's brain isn't fully developed till 25. Yeah. So the actions they make up until that point, we should be careful of what we let them do.
Yeah.
Because they're not fully developed.
So we can let them change their gender.
But in this circumstance, we're talking about a fetus, a fetus that has nothing developed completely yet. But we're giving them the option to choose whether they want to be alive. Doesn't make any sense.
I know you don't want to work. I know you want to go live in some freaking communist establishment in the middle of nowhere. Well, then go. Do us all a favour.
If this is all based off you being a lazy motherfucker,
which it tends to be with these people,
that's what I'm upset about when I hear this. I'm like, someone is so lazy and upset. Imagine suing your own parents for this.
Having
It's
you.
ridiculous.
Oh god, that is ridiculous. Well done. That's great research. You
Thank
found
you.
a good one there. I've got another one there based on the Sydney Swans. Obviously, our national anthem changed recently here in Australia because the old lyrics were "We are young and free."
Yes.
Of course, young is rude to people that are maybe elderly. So now we are one and free. So we had to make that little minor adjustment.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember this, but it
Yep.
was. Remember when you were a kid in puppet shows?
Yeah.
Puppet
Doss
show-
is happy with this one.
No, so puppet shows. I actually remember my dad. I had a puppet show at my. I think it might have been my
21st.
Yeah, you loved it. You were sitting front row.
What's it? Who was it that dressed as
It's the
as Judy?
Paul Hudson.
It was just a Judy that night, wasn't he?
So this puppet show, right? It's a very famous puppet show, and they came to I think it might have been my fifth or 6th birthday.
Yeah.
Punch and Judy.
Punch
Do you
and
remember
Judy.
that?
I haven't seen it, but I'm aware it is a classic.
It is a classic. It's an all-time classic. So I found this, right? So mind you, I've grown up, so I'm not necessarily looking for local Punch and Judy shows. That's not how I found this out. Why isn't it around anymore?
I don't know.
So child entertainer blasts PC culture and snowflakes after his Punch and Judy shows were cancelled over fears it portrayed domestic violence. Now, I will say this. The two characters, it involves not violence, but it involves
It's puppeteering.
it's two little what would you call it?
Puppets.
Two
Fingers?
soft toys, two soft plush toys that have an ability to put your hand through them and make them.
Bit of thumb wrestling.
Bit
Never
of
heard
thumb
anybody.
wrestling. So a child entertainer has told how he forced to cancel a Punch and Judy show at a primary school because of fears that it portrayed domestic violence. So basically, he was asked to ensure that Punch doesn't hit Judy, even though it's a key element of the show. Now that doesn't sound great, does it? The key element of the show
It's part of the
is,
script. There'll be no scripts on the notes.
but and also he was also told to scrap a performance at an Armed Forces Day event doing this Punch and Judy show because it was due to take place near a woman's refuge. Now, this has been around for years. This show, this puppet show.
Since, as I say, since Adam was this height.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, me as a kid, I enjoy.
Would you, if you had kids, would you hide them from Punch and Judy?
I would. Not hire them. I thought you said, would I hire
them?
I would hire Punch and Judy to come and perform for my kid's birthday. Yeah, I
so
would.
you wouldn't be worried about that. Well, that's a good
Disappointing.
one. Mate, it's very disappointing. Well, I've got a couple. Here's a headline here. And mate, in schools and universities, I mean, this is where cancel culture really erupts and the movement really takes place. But so in a school, lecturers were warned that capital letters might scare children and they should avoid using them. So apparently now, obviously, when you spell your name, you have to put a capital letter, as we all learn in prep.
Yeah, you're tracing them. Remember tracing them?
Yeah, well,
Tracing
apparently now
It's scary.
It's scary now. This is also in a college.
I mean, when I was a kid, I was worried about black holes, tsunamis.
Yeah, I don't recall being scared of capital letters.
No, I wasn't afraid of the letter Z.
Well, they weren't like this show, the dosd&d show. The D is a capital, so sorry about that. In these same sort of colleges, a college diversity trainer now that is problematic in itself. I think as soon as you're hiring a college diversity trainer.
So is that probably a lecturer just educating diversity?
Fuck knows, mate.
don't
But
know.
a college diversity training course taught that it was culturally insensitive to expect people to be on time.
So wait. So
Digest it. Try it. No, please explain it, because I can't. Because I certainly can't.
So basically, it's
It's offensive to be late.
offensive. To
Oh,
do
sorry,
that.
it's offensive to be on time, to expect people to be on time.
So we should be more.
So you go to college.
we should be more empathetic to people that are late because they don't understand the concept of time.
Well, it says here, Clemson University training course taught its attendees that it is offensive to expect people to be on time because time may be considered fluid in other countries. Now,
What does that mean?
I don't know, but but look. You did a business course.
Yeah, I did.
Now if they say 10 o'clock, I don't think you're rolling 11 o'clock. Oh, sorry, I'm an hour late for my exam. So and they say, oh, mate, don't stress. Just say, no, it's part of my culture. We actually like running late. I mean, fuck me. You know how now I cannot live in that world because I love being punctual.
Yeah,
It's one of my key.
What to you, being late is being on time.
That's right. I find it personally. I find it rude and offensive when people are late. So
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
fair play to you.
Anything else, Dad?
I do have one more, and I know this is going to make you angry.
I'm not aware of
this is
this
going to
one.
infuriate you, as it does infuriate me. So we take our health seriously, you know, on the dosd&d show.
I can already see where this is going.
We do. We take our health seriously, and yeah, I'm not the skinniest bloke at the pool. I'm not. You know, when I take my shirt off, I'm not. I don't have the six pack, but I'm not obese.
No.
I'm not obese.
Well, obese would be. I'd assume that'd be scientific.
So basically, let's say doctors, and this is true. So, and I will get the article up. But
Everyone knows where this is
long
going.
story short, doctors aren't allowed to tell people you're obese and you're overweight, and this could end up in some serious harm if you don't change or fix it, and that's apparently classified as offensive, and we don't want to scare we don't want to scare them, so we make it sound less worse than it is. Does that make any sense?
It makes sense, but this is where it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So by being afraid to tell somebody, like right? You know this better than anybody else. If you don't tell somebody, if you don't give somebody a reason to change, they won't change. So if they're clearly unwell and unhealthy, they're not going to change unless you tell them pretty strictly, mate, you got to change.
So I'll read this out. Pediatrics, a group of researchers, published their findings regarding parental perceptions of the terminology that doctors use to describe childhood obesity. So we're referring to kids between the ages of 2 and 18, right? The researchers found that it was undesirable to use the term fat, obese, or morbidly obese because they were stigmatizing, blaming, and the least motivating to lead one to lose weight. What should be used instead? The term weight and unhealthy weight were rated as the most desirable, and the term overweight fell in the middle of that bracket.
So it's good. It's on the fence.
It's on the. So some people, when they said, "Mate, you're overweight. You need to lose a few kgs." That some people found that a bit sensitive.
Okay.
Others didn't. So, but you're not allowed to say to someone, "Mate."
But if you're unhealthy, if you're sick,
even though scientifically, right, but looking at all the numbers, you are obese. That's the word that
terminology.
You use. That's the terminology. That's the diagnosis.
The medical terminology.
And obesity is not a disease. It's not a disease.
But it probably, I reckon, you'd probably find that it'll just about be the number one killer in the world.
It would be. It would
based on yes, you can even I don't know, people won't like this, but even back in the COVID days, when you look at all the deaths from COVID, I think a fair chunk of that percentage happened to be carrying a couple of extra kgs.
And I'll be first to admit, I never loved being called Fatty Boomber in school.
I didn't like it either.
I hated being called Tubbs and Plugger, which I got called a lot.
Yeah.
The great Tony Lockett.
Well, there he goes there. I'm not kidding. He walked past before.
So that's my last one. But that's just...
Well, mate, I'll move through a few. I mean, ridiculous. And I'll move through these quite quickly. But, of course, Santa Claus is really probably on his last legs in terms of, how long we probably keep him.
Do you reckon that's...
I reckon he doesn't have long.
Really?
Because there's a few issues. Fat phobia is obviously one of them. He's a fat man, so now we want skinny Santa Clauses at the mall. Now, that's okay, So,
That's terrible.
he's also been claimed to be a stalker. His terminology of ho ho ho. Now in Australia we don't really say ho in a derogatory way towards women of the night, but in America they do. So ho ho ho. We've got to stop that. And of course people don't like religion. So because it has any connotation with our with Christianity and
it's a no-go
It's
zone.
a no-go. Now these are some more ridiculous ones. I'll move through them very quickly. Obviously you liked SpongeBob SquarePants as a kid. Obviously, we can't have Bikini Bottom, and apparently the character's name is Sandy Cheeks.
Yes.
So that they want to cancel her. Of course, there is a fine line. Obviously, you can't say Bikini Bottom in a children's show, but you can have the great song Wet Ass Pussy blasting on a radio station.
Yeah, for all kids to hear.
Sung by 6-year-olds. I mean, fuck me.
Yeah.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches have also, in schools in America, have been told is not appropriate because...
What?
And it's quite racist, apparently, because there are some cultures in the world that don't eat sandwiches. Now, I don't know why peanut butter and jelly got targeted.
How is that racist?
Because some cultures don't eat sandwiches. Now, I would just like to say they're probably missing out. We love a sandwich.
I love a sandwich.
We love a sandwich. Now, Eskimo pies, the food.
I love that. It's an ice cream.
Yep. Can you guess why? Can't say
Eskimos.
So now it's called polar pies. And then we've got Golden Gay Time.
I love that ice cream.
Now, here's the issue with this. this is the part that, the original Gaytime ice creams created by Streets in 1959 were not golden but strawberry shortcake flavoured. The famous golden versions you see today arrived in 1970. This name predates the use of the word gay as a sexual orientation by the ice cream, and its slogan with its double meaning, it's hard to have a Gaytime on your own, but now has been embraced by the gay community. So here goes my point from the very start. The gay community love using golden Gaytime. They embrace it. They enjoy it. They're not the ones complaining.
They enjoy one. They love them.
They love a golden
And
Gaytime.
and they don't
say it's not offensive.
They don't find that offensive.
No.
It's hard to have a Gaytime on your own.
Yeah.
Is that what the saying
it's
is?
hard to have a Gaytime on your own.
Is that their slogan?
It's one of their slogans, apparently. They have a few. And finally, Dice, I think you're going to play some audio for our beautiful listeners, but the great Play School song, We're Going on a Bear Hunt, has now had its lyrics changed to We're Going on a Bush Hunt. I'm not sure why, but we'll dissect in a moment. Give us a little taste.
Going on a bear hunt.
We're going on a bear hunt.
I've got my binoculars.
I've got my binoculars.
I'm not scared.
I'm not scared.
Ooh, look at that tall, wavy grass.
It's so
It's very tall and wavy.
Now, apparently, they've changed the lyrics for a couple of reasons. One, obviously, we don't want to be hunting bears. No, that's kind of understandable. But the other thing, too, is saying, things like I'm not scared actually does inflict scary feelings for children. And we've now changed it to make it more of an exciting journey as we go on a bush hunt. Don't know what a bush hunt is, do you?
Oh, gosh.
What's a bush hunt?
A bush hunt?
yeah, what's a bush hunt?
Well, there's probably many different kind of roads you can go down when describing a bush hunt. But in my experience,
Flora and fauna.
Flora and fauna, I did work in horticulture. I have a bit of an understanding.
You know your way around a bush.
I do. But the world's gone mad.
Okay, Dossie, as you know, it's one of those things in life where housemates move on. Obviously, you've moved on. We've had a good
We had a good run, didn't we?
Good run, nearly 2 years. Great housemates, a lot of great memories, a lot of good fun. And then for the frequent listeners of the dosd&d show, our recent cameraman, filmographer, would you say? Videographer, editor, done quite a lot here at the dosd&d show. Ralph is heading back to the UK. So he's going to head back there for a little bit homesick, I think, for the young man.
Well, wasn't quite his go.
Wasn't quite his go. So we say goodbye to Ralphie, but he'll still be part of the dosd&d team. But off he goes onto his merry way. But of course, that means time to find a new housemate.
You're left in the dry a bit here.
Yeah, now it's a little bit difficult because I didn't really want this situation to occur because I've had an experience which I'm about to share with you all of living with random people, and it's not the best thing, I find. So now we're on the hunt at the moment, and just a little pre-context, this is what I'm kind of dealing with. We talked about the world gone mad before. I've actually paid for this app. It's called Flatmates, which you actually pay for a premium kind of version, and you get matched with suitable housemates.
So like a bit of a Tinder for housemates.
Yeah, I suppose so. You kind of put in your preferences. I'm a non-smoker, or I'm don't have pets.
You've got a filter on who you specifically want.
And then you might be looking for a place, and you go, this is the kind of place I'm looking for, and then it kind of matches you up. So I got matched with a woman. She's not a woman. A person that identifies as a cat. Her name was Kitty, or its name was Kitty. It has surgically had its ears.
That's every 3 times in a row.
Sorry, but its ears is now in a triangle shape,
so
and surgically
kitty
removed.
cat shape.
Yeah, and I believe does OnlyFans for a living because there's probably, I don't know, I didn't think there'd be a market for that, but apparently there is. So, unfortunately, young Kitty, if you are watching this or listening to this, I'm probably not going to accept that application.
Haven't made the cut.
But I will keep moving on. Now,
unfortunately, you don't own a kitty litter box.
No, I do not. I've got a dog, not a cat. Now, we're going to talk about horrific housemate stories that we found on the internet. But before I do, I just wanted to share a personal one of my own because, as you know, I lived in a share house prior to us to connect. Now, you didn't love that house, did you?
No, I was very open about that.
Yeah.
Didn't love it.
No.
But in hindsight, you look back now and you probably go, geez, that wasn't the greatest place to live.
No, and because I've just done some travelling and I thought, I could live in a share house because I've been living in hostels. And really, though, and this is a bit of advice for everybody, if you want to go into a share house, go into a place you want to feel comfortable in your own home, not a place where you hide in your room. And unfortunately, I just hid in my room. But here is a bit of a horror housemate story that actually happened to me, and this is not making up any bullshit. So I lived with 2 people, one guy and one girl. They weren't together, they were separate rooms, and this girl lived across the hall from me. Now, she was very quiet. Her and I had nothing in common. She came from she literally was a student coming from another country, broken English, that's okay.
What country?
India. She came from, and well, look, we just didn't. I didn't spend much time in the house, so we never really connected or anything. I had her number just to text her about house stuff. But one night was really weird because it was about 4 a.m. I was asleep in my bedroom. Now this house did not have locks on the doors, which is a bit concerning.
On the bedroom doors.
On the bedroom.
But that is very common.
But I think
in a share house you prefer a lock
because you just don't know who you're living with, and some people come in and out. Anyway, it's 4 a.m, and when you're asleep, but you're not, like something wakes you up. You have this feeling, and I swear that in my sleep I heard my door open, and I was correct. So I rolled over half asleep at 4 a.m, and my door opened and it shut, and this girl stood in the corner of my bedroom. I'm not kidding, staring at me. Was
it pitch black?
Pitch black, but I knew there was.
So you didn't know it was her?
Well, sorry, I didn't know, but there was a shadow in my corner of the bedroom staring at my bed, just standing there, shut the door behind her. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I'm like, hello. And she's like, oh, hi. I'm like, yeah. And anyway, she basically started talking gibberish. I'm like, what the hell? I thought she might be drunk or doing some kind of drugs or something. I think she sleepwalked, right? Now, remember this too. Now, I actually did some research the days after, and apparently if someone's sleepwalking, you do not wake him up. It's actually quite dangerous because they're sleepwalking. They're not in a conscious state. So you don't shake them because they'll shit themselves. So I didn't know what the hell to do, and she was creeping close to my bed, and I thought she was going to get into my bed, and I was freaking creeped out. So anyway, I'm like, you need to go. Like, what do you want? She's like, I'm cold. I'm like, go to bed. Like, it's weird. Like, I don't know her. It was really weird experience. Then the days after, she started saying some weird shit. I'd be walking around the house and she'd just say, oh, you look really cute in that jumper. Now, keep in mind, we don't talk. We do not talk.
And how long did you live together before this happened?
Probably a few months.
Yeah.
But I wasn't home very often.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I just didn't, it was just weird. And she was just really giving me the creeps. Then one day, this is a true story. People will not believe this. She texted me and said, do you want to go for a walk? I said, no, I don't want to go for a walk. She said, why not? I said, I made some excuse. I said I was working. I was not working. But I said, look, I can't go for a walk. She's like, can you come into my bedroom? I'm like, look, I can't. No. She's like, please. I'm like, why? Just come and stand in the hallway. So no, come into my bedroom. Walk into her bedroom. She stares at me, does not say a word. She just looks at me blankly. And I said, yeah, what do you want to talk about? And she sat down like a child and kind of like took a deep breath in, looked me in the eyes, and she said, do you want to fuck me? That was her words. Do you want to fuck me?
And your response?
And it was the best sex of my life. No, I'm kidding. No, I literally said, no, I don't. Like, I didn't know what to say, but I literally said, no.
No, thank you.
I said, no, thank you. Now, back in those days, indeed to say no to that.
that was hard.
Yeah. But yeah, so anyway, weird things happen in share houses, and I'm a bit nervous about what we're about to talk about now because I'm scared I could be going through similar ones. But you found some horror stories.
I've got a couple.
Give us one.
We went and had a little look-see, and we both found some great share house stories. So my first one, I had a roommate who thought pooing in the shower was an acceptable thing. She would do her business while showering, then pick it up with the toilet paper and toss it in the toilet.
Oh my God.
It was only after I discovered one of her shower turd surprises that she forgot to clean up that I knew she was doing this. When I confronted her, she really thought it was a normal thing and that everyone pooed while showering. How ridiculous. Maybe that is a normal thing in some countries or cultures.
Wasn't there a period in the Custerson household where the toilet went broke and there was poos in the bath?
Not in the bath.
In the bath?
No. But what happened was you would flush the toilet and it would go, but it would come back up.
Yeah.
So you'd have to be careful if you had visitors and make sure that you flushed it at least twice because the turds might come back up to the surface.
Maybe what we'll do, right, for this segment is let's pretend that I'm seeing as I'm looking for a new housemate. What would be your advice to me if I found that with my new housemate? How would you deal with it?
Oh gosh,
how would you deal with it?
Well, in your scenario, you've got your own bathroom, so you're not going to have to necessarily deal with that.
True.
But maybe when the lease ends and all of a sudden you have to do the bond clean and you're cleaning her shower or getting...
Put the rubber gloves on, love.
Definitely put the rubber gloves on and extra Kleenex,
Oh, God. Well, I've got one here, Dossie. This is I hope I don't have this as my next roommate. I had a roommate who would use her menstrual blood to fertilise her plants and ask the rest of the roommates to save ours for her as well.
Really?
Now, you're a horticulturalist by trade. Have you ever heard of menstrual blood as a
Never
as
heard of
good
a good fertilizer being menstrual blood.
Dos was the one that introduced me to houseplants and the love of them. So yeah, I might just have to keep them to myself.
Oh,
How does that happen?
No, I understand it's a very normal thing in the production what's it called, production system,
Reproduction.
reproduction system in a woman's body.
Yeah,
But
not for your plants.
in a share house, I mean, it's a come on, it's a shared space.
You have to have more common social sense than that.
Well, not everyone's going to be comfortable with that. You got to be willing. If you're in a share house, will other people be comfortable with me walking around the laundry where a couple of the succulents are and tipping out this month's worth of period in the plants? Like, come on.
Well,
No matter how much good shit is in it.
carry on.
Yeah, sorry. I've got one. So I kept my hair short. There's Michael Martin, his name is.
Good day, Mickey.
I kept my hair short and I would shave it off every couple of weeks. So he's gone the buzz cut. One day I was looking for my clippers, but I couldn't find them. I searched all over the house and eventually found my housemate Scott shaving his ball sack in the bathroom using my clippers. He just stood there continuing to shave while smiling. I think I found his smile creepier than the fact that he was using my clippers on his nuts.
Certainly nothing you'd ever do.
No, nothing I would ever do.
That's terrible. This one's called passive meowing. This could come from young Kitty.
Yeah.
My roommate was kicked out of school a month after I moved in and basically never left our apartment. She was obsessed with her cat. As a year went on, she began talking through the cat to me on a regular basis. For example, I'd get home and instead of saying hi, she would say, "Lena was wondering where you were." If I slept late on the weekend, she would text me, "Lena misses you." It got to the point where she hardly ever spoke to me directly, just as a cat. It was simultaneously super creepy and annoying. I was overjoyed to finally move out.
That is a bit odd.
I hate when people talk to me through their pets.
It reminds me of
grow up.
Reminds me of the episode of Friends where Phoebe is just adamant the cat she finds is her mum.
Oh yes.
You know, it's come on.
Oh god.
So, oh my God. So I had this roommate that was so weird. One night I got home from work. She was wrapped up in tinfoil. No clothes on underneath with peanut butter on her face. Oh, and she had a cone head shaped hat, also made out of tinfoil. I looked at her and said, "What the fuck?" That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
What was she watching on YouTube that night?
Imagine rocking up home
with a tin foil hat on.
No, not tinfoil hat. It's covered in tinfoil. She's wrapped in it with peanut butter face.
How do you actually? In all seriousness, I want the listeners to think about this. How would you deal with that situation? How would you? What do you say?
You walk into the lounge room and your housemate is wrapped up and standing in front of the TV, wrapped in tinfoil,
Watching
like a burrito,
you're watching UFO documentaries
with peanut butter on their face.
I don't even know. This one's pretty strange. I woke up to my roommate reading Bible verses over me, because she heard me whispering in tongues the night before. For our non-religious friends, tongues is a way that some people think is very satanic. Some people think it's talking to God. I was in bed talking to my family in my native language and didn't want to disturb her sleep. Imagine drifting off to sleep and you've got somebody that you barely know over you, praying over you and reading Bible verses. Demon be gone.
But the fact that they weren't speaking tongues, they were speaking in their language. They could have been speaking Spanish.
Yeah.
And the roommate's like, "Geez, he's talking to the devil."
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
while he's asleep tonight,
possessed.
I better go in there and read a couple of verses.
Oh, God.
I had a roommate that couldn't stand when I had multiple Gatorades in the fridge, so she combined them all in one container and said they all taste the bloody same. We lived in a hot apartment and drinks got warm quick. It was then I learned to chug. So imagine that. That'd be frustrating. That is one thing. If I lived in a share house and my partner Garni, she lived in share house for a long time with multiple,
people.
other roommates, not just me and you, like 3 other roommates in a 4-bedroom house.
Yeah.
And the fridge situation.
Nightmare.
Everyone gets a shelf. I understand that, but it's just a bit of a mess. And imagine the kitchen. Some people don't necessarily like wiping up their crumbs. They leave it.
That's my biggest pet peeve. Just clean up after yourself. That's my own. If you're watching and you're my future housemate, and you're living in my house, all I'm begging you to do is, and I might send you this clip on its own. Please fucking clean up. If you clean up the sink, motherfucker, I'm sick of it. All right. I had a unicorn mask that we called Bertha. And she was constantly hid around the house just to scare me. I once screamed in the middle of the night because I found it under my pillow. That is Bertha.
We'll put that up for the listeners.
Oh, my God, Father.
That is terrifying. No.
Well, I've got a couple more. I'll move through them very quickly. Back in the day, my weird roommate had this thing about not wearing pants, so I'd have to leave notes similar to this. And then here's a note. Dear Evan, my parents are coming today. Can you please wear pants in capitals all day? Thanks. These are very quick.
My parents are coming today. Please wear pants all day.
All the day, yeah.
Yeah.
I once thought I had a date in Mornington, and my dad in the summertime liked to walk around nothing but his Speedos. We had the pool in the backyard because he loved tanning.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Did you have to tell
I'm
him?
not reading this. This is a true story. And one day I said, Dad, look, I've got a girl coming over. You know, do you mind just putting some pants? I mean, like, if you want to leave your shirt off, that's fine, but just put some pants on.
Please cover the junk.
Yeah. Because they're loose jocks too. A bit like yours. A roommate randomly looks at me, tilts his head and says penis. This is the only time he speaks to me. Dos is just dissecting this.
Imagine that.
Oh,
Penis.
penis, and that's what you say. He bought a keyboard. He only knew the first 50 seconds or so of the Star Wars Cantina song, but practiced those 50 seconds as loud as he possibly can at hours at a time.
Just that's it.
Is that the...
Wait.
I can't remember. And
Wait, I've never seen it, so I don't know.
No, the final one. Freshman year, I was assigned to a random roommate who thought she was a mermaid/witch. I came home one day and there was a wet 6-foot mermaid tail hanging over my door. Fuck, I'd be furious at that. She also got permission from the school to swim in the campus pool with her mermaid tail on. I'd also wake up from naps sometimes. It would be pitch black and I'd hear her and her friends chanting and talking about spells they had made. She was an interesting gal.
Wow. On the mermaid talk, you know, mermaids, like it's a natural thing. People pay them to come to their events or their pool parties or their, you know, somewhere where there's water, and they're actually entertainers. Like you can pay
mermaids.
Yeah, mermaids. You can pay someone to be a mermaid at your, you know, your event, and they do tricks and underwater. Apparently, it's very difficult. They got to hold their breath.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I saw it on Netflix. It's a documentary on one of the platforms. But yeah, good luck with the housemate hunt.
This isn't exciting me. I think I might move back into mum's.
Yeah, fair call.
We've spoken a little bit about current affairs today. We don't normally typically go down the news line. Obviously, something really sad happened with the implosion of the submarine. Ringo Starr was very disappointed, apparently.
Yeah, I think Paul McCartney as well.
Yeah,
Yellow. Actually, in saying that, they might be. It's up in the charts again. Yellow Submarine.
Maybe actually it's probably rap. Titanic's doing very well again.
Yeah.
So obviously, for those that are living under a rock, obviously a few billionaires. There's this program out in wherever the Titanic's. Probably should have done more research, but basically you can take the submarine down and go have a look at the Titanic.
At
the shipwreck. Personally, I think that's fascinating. If I had the money, I'd probably do that myself.
Would you?
I think so.
If this bloke said to you, pay $250K in this situation.
If I had the money.
So
They do it all the time. It's not just a once-off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a company.
Okay.
It's a company that takes you down.
All right.
Like companies that, personally, I'd love to go to Antarctica one day and do one of those trips. Like those.
Yeah, but those are all trusted trusted
but
travel
this was a trusted one too.
Was it?
Yeah, if you have a look, there's a lot of people that have had this experience.
Are you
yes,
sure?
I'm sure.
Wow.
Yes. So yes, but unfortunately, obviously, something went wrong. They had an Xbox controller, or what was it? Something steering the.
Well, they literally it looked like a PlayStation controller that was controlling the whole submarine.
Yeah, and unfortunately there was a disaster. But the reason we bring that up is not to go to. This segment is not about the submarine life or Ringo Starr, but it's about moments you knew when you fucked up. So for those gentlemen, obviously it's not a laughing matter, but there would have been a moment where we're fucked.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it's really sad. Death was.
I must admit,
Don't have much sympathy.
my empathy towards it isn't quite as high as
Why is that?
just the
Stupidity.
yeah. So just I didn't know that I'm not quite sure if they've done lots of tours like that with that company.
That was my understanding.
Because what I've heard, they haven't, and that's when I heard they hadn't. I was like, you're going down with the bloody Xbox controller, thinking this is going to be fine, and then bang,
Yeah.
you know. I'm just thinking, and one of them took a child with them.
Yeah.
You know, come
Yeah.
on. But basically, we want to talk about some moments we
A bit more lighthearted.
Yeah, this is what
Moments when we're turning this into a positive. Moments when you knew you fucked up.
Yeah.
Now these are some of these are quite humorous. Some of them not as much. But do you want to kick us off, Dusty?
Well, I got one for myself.
Okay.
A mistake I made.
Good man.
So, for those wondering, I worked at the St Kilda Football Club in the AFL, and I was the kit man.
Yep.
Essentially, so I don't know if you've seen or know what a kit man is. Essentially, I had a couple of main jobs. One, my job was to make the Gatorade. For the boys at training, I was a water boy.
So it was powdered Gatorade.
Yeah, powdered Gatorade.
Yep.
I have to make the Gatorade for the trainings and it was
Yep.
all there. And then I'd have to wash all the jumpers, shorts, socks for all the players.
Yep, gotcha.
Women's and men's. So one afternoon, I'm washing. I might have even been in my first few months, and I was
Okay.
there for a year and a half. And I'm in the property room on my own, and I must have put a little bit too much detergent
Oh dear.
into one of the. And they got big industrial washing machines and industrial dryers and whatnot.
Yeah.
So and I thought I'll go off and I might head upstairs while the washing's on, and I'll read. I'll scroll my phone a bit or getting paid, and I'll go back down and I'll take the washing. So I go back down, and I'm not joking. There's bubbles that have covered the floor, the property room floor, and I don't know if you've seen. It was horrible. I didn't know what to do, and in that instance, I started panicking, and I wasn't sure what to do. So I just started trying to carry the I started carrying them and putting them in the sink. And then and I was Googling it, and then it said salt evaporates the bubbles. So then I was all over the floor, and that worked. So no one found out at the St Kilda Footy Club.
It was a moment you walked in where you knew that you...
That was the moment I knew I fucked up.
You
I thought,
fucked
oh,
up.
jeez.
Well, we got this one, and this is a real bad moment. You probably knew you fucked up. Ronald Wayne, does that name ring a bell to you?
No.
Maybe to some listeners, but not. He was the third co-founder and 10% shareholder of Apple Computer. In April 1976, Wayne decided to sell his stake for a mere $800. Not tidy payday. I've sold shares for around then. You'd think, $800, nothing. to
Take
sneeze
that
at.
home.
But had he held on to it, that 10% stake would today be worth, just a quiet $63 billion.
Oh, come on. What was his name? Ronald.
Ronald.
Oh, Ron. He'd be rolling in his grave if he's
How
still.
the fuck? How do you go on? How do you live your life from then on?
I
Can you?
don't think you can.
Oh, it's tough.
That's really. You know what? I feel really sad for him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just shit.
Oh, God.
I've got one, and essentially it's when you. I'm bad at this.
Okay.
I'll introduce myself to someone, and they would tell me their name, and within 3 seconds I've forgotten it.
Yeah.
And I'm finding some way whatsoever to get them to tell me their name, so I can,
How do you spell that one again? It's Tim for Tim. Oh, right.
Oh, I didn't know why I thought. I thought something else.
Yeah.
So I've got one actually off the bat. I'll share this story. This is to do with my dad, and I don't think you know this story. So my old man Dickie, he played in a duo. So him and his best mate, they played for 15, 20 years. They played weddings and pubs, and so a lot of karting equipment in and out.
Yep.
And probably dealing with a lot of security guards at pubs.
Yep.
They were the guys that bumped them in. They'd go and they would be there while they were setting up. So they would always play this one pub, 2 or 3 nights a week in Cranbourne, the Settlement Hotel, right?
Lovely.
And this one bouncer, security guard, he must have heard my dad calling his, bandmate or mate who he plays with. He heard him call him Fitzy, but Dad was actually calling him Schultzy, right? So Dad's calling, hey, Schultzy. Mate, here's the cord for, can you plug that in? Hey, Schultzy, can you grab that amp? And the bouncers thought he heard him say Fitzy. Fitzy. So, and I'm no word of a lie here, every week they would go back to that pub, and I'm talking for a good 3 to 6 months.
Oh, no.
This guy is calling him Fitzy. Hey, Dickie, Fitzy, how are you, boys? And Dad and Schultze just ran with it.
We get to the point.
They got to the point where we can't let him know. And I think they might have tried to let him, and they just. So it got to one day. It might have been 4 months later. They're on there having their, the regular, the weekly gig that they're playing, and they're packing up. So it might be late at night. It's 12, 11:30. They're packing up all their equipment. They're putting the last little bits in, and they're in the car, and this bouncer's outside the door, and the car's right near the door, and Dad goes, Schultze, can you just grab that? And the bloke hears him say, Schultze. So they rock up the next week, and the bloke, he's like super nice and just
Yeah.
Dickie, how are you, mate? Schultzy, how are you, mate? And he just thought he could get it. He's been calling him Fitzy for 3 months, and he thought he could get away with calling him Schultzy
That's
without them
hilarious.
knowing. And
That's
it was just a great gag. But,
I love that. There comes a point where you just don't know when to correct, because at my old workplace, I was getting called Damien by the sales rep, by the Chris Finch of the
the
organisation.
sales rep.
Yeah, and he always go, "G'day, boys. G'day, Damien." He started calling me Damo, Damien, and it like got to the point where
Why did you tell him?
well, I said at the start, like the first time I said, "Oh, it's actually Danny or Dan or Daniel or whatever," and he must have just you know it's like
It didn't get through.
it just didn't get through. And then his son actually worked at the company alongside me. And one night at dinner, he goes, apparently they're talking. He goes, "Oh yeah, Damo did something today." And this guy Nick, he goes, "Wait, who's Damo? What do you mean who's Damo? Your mate that works next to you for the last 9 months." His name's Dan. He goes, "Dan? I've been calling him fucking Damien." So the next day he comes to you, he goes, "Oh, Dan, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And never made that mistake again.
Oh, Damo.
Damo.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, God.
Got another one, Dossie?
Yeah, I've got one here, mate. This one actually reminds me of something we did. A mistake, a big boo-boo we made when it came to our hard drive. So this bloke, he goes, "I worked in a digital forensics lab." That sounds pretty important. "I was an intern and wiped the empty drives before we used them. I wiped the evidence." Idiot.
So someone's got away with that.
Can you believe that? Someone's got away with that.
That's when you know.
Because of a poor intern or an intern wiping the evidence away.
I mean, you'd be lucky criminal.
You'd be in a lot of trouble, I reckon, if you were that intern.
Well, oh mate, bloody oath. This one's got a headline. "I caught my ex thanks to fucking Pokemon Go."
Oh.
She mentioned Pokemon Go was using lots of her data. I explained that in her settings, she could see how much data an app was using. I proceeded to show her and prove to her it wasn't by pointing out that it wasn't Pokemon Go using all her data, it was actually Tinder.
Wait, what?
She was on Tinder. So she was complaining that she was cheating on him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not nice.
No. Here's another one. When I put I was 10 years old and I put ankle weights and jumped into the deep end of the pool to see if I was able to walk underwater.
Now, that's just damn right stupid.
That's just stupid.
Oh, gosh. I got one. So, in 1964,
Yep.
Donald Rusk Curry, a grad student,
Yep.
got his tree corer stuck in a Great Basin bristlecone pine. What's a tree corer? Is that
I don't know, but I'm guessing something that don't know.
something? Yeah. So, well, he got it stuck in a Great Basin bristlecone pine.
Beautiful tree.
Beautiful tree.
Yeah.
To remove the tool, a park ranger helped him to cut down the tree.
Okay.
So they actually had to cut down the tree to
Get the
it
tool out. Important tool, I'm guessing.
it's expensive, I'm sure.
Tool of the week.
So later on, Curry began to count the rings in the tree. And
Yeah.
you know what that means.
That means how old the tree.
You can see the rings
Yep.
inside that tree. How many
Yep.
rings are inside it? You can tell how old it is.
Okay.
Curry began to count the rings, eventually finding out that the tree was almost 5,000 years old. It was the oldest tree ever recorded. Imagine that.
It's cut down. That's what he knew.
You've cut down the oldest tree on the planet
That
Earth.
is so funny.
That's you wouldn't tell anyone that.
Well, it should come out, obviously. Is that a criminal offence? I wonder.
It would be.
I like Dossie. I shared this one with Dossie yesterday, and he quite liked this one. It's not my fuck up necessarily, but I invited a friend over for a barbecue. He didn't know anyone and has never been to my house, but seemed really eager to join. So I was a little irritated that he was almost 2 hours late, and I was just about to text him when I happened to look over my neighbour's fence. The neighbour was also having a barbecue. It was like it happened in slow motion. I saw my friend in the neighbour's yard chatting up some old lady. Our eyes locked. I saw the realisation hit his face. I swear this guy turned white. I still laugh about it.
Imagine. So he wasn't late.
He's been 2 hours at the wrong barbecue. I just want to know in that situation.
Do you think where's
my mate?
Yeah, it's his
He's
house.
probably going to go, gee, old Tony's got a nice house, doesn't he? Yeah, yeah. So I went to Dry Richardson's ex-girlfriend's 18th birthday back in the day. This was going back when we were around that same age. Dry Richardson doesn't currently have an 18-year-old girlfriend. But I went to her I went to her birthday, and so I can't remember exactly, but her dad's name was Pete,
Yeah.
and the boyfriend of her sister, who we used to play indoor footy with, his dad's name was Pete as well. So Jai introduced me at the party. He goes, "Oh, here's Pete. Good to meet him." And I thought he was referring to his girlfriend's dad. I didn't realize I was talking to
Another Pete.
So I'm talking to Pete for 5 minutes about small talk about how good the party is. Yeah, it's quite good. I'm like, gee, it must have cost a lot. He goes, yeah. And I'm asking him how they got the flowers in and how that, because it was very hyped up.
Talking about logistics of the party.
Yes.
With the bloke that had nothing to do with it.
He just goes, I think in the end, he's like, mate, what are you talking about? I said, you're the father of so and so. He's like, I'm not, mate. I'm not. Let me down gently.
That's jeez. Oh, that was a bit of fun.
That was lovely. That was one of my favourites. I thought that was really good today.
I hope everyone else thinks the same.
Me too. I thoroughly enjoyed that, going through a few new topics. Of course, let us know what you guys thought, if you enjoyed it, what you want to hear more of, what you want to hear less of. Now, make sure, please, if you're listening to this podcast, if you're on Spotify, make sure you click those 5 stars. We don't say it enough. Click them right now. If you're on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, leave us a review. That all helps a lot. If you're YouTube, subscribe right now. Insta, TikTok,
all of it. You know where we are.
You know where we are. You can find us in the show notes.
The big one D touches on. If you can go and leave a review, a 5-star review on Spotify. If you're listening on Spotify, it takes 2 seconds.
Just click the button.
Literally, you just got to click the 5 stars. That's all you got to do, and it helps us massively.
And if you're on Apple, same deal. And you can also write something nice or nasty or whatever you like, but make sure the 5 stars are there. And obviously YouTube, subscribe if you're a listener. Check us out on YouTube so you can see the beautiful backdrop. I want some acai. You want some.
I want to meat pie.
You want to meat pie. So let's go get it.